Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chase here at Rocky Mountain, and today we have another boot versus for you, and I have joined again with Gavin Bruff. He recently did a boot versus with the SG22s versus the Tech 10. So a little bit of background on Gavin. He rode in Tech 10s for like about 3 years, basically exclusively.
Yep, 3 years.
Tech 7s before that.
Yep.
And you're very picky with gear. So when I heard you were riding in SG22s, it caught me a little off guard. Well, you rode in them for a gear shoot, and you're like, hey, I actually like these SG22s.
Yeah.
Now you have a pair, and you said you've been liking them, riding those quite a bit, right?
Yep, I've been riding in these SG22s for the past 2 months.
Okay.
And yeah, I like them a lot.
Awesome. Well, today we got you in the new Crossair boot from Sidi for the first time.
Yep.
Your brother Riley, who's done other videos with us, he did the premium boot shootout as well. He has been really liking these boots. And so I want to get you on a pair just because you've never ridden in Sidis and just kind of get your first impressions and how you compare them to the SG22. I'll also do my comparison as well. But first of all, Gavin, so compared to the SG22s, well, how do your SG22s fit?
They're a little bigger than I'm used to with the Alpine Stars.
Like lengthwise?
Yeah, lengthwise, and they were just size 10, which I am in every other boot. They were a little roomier, and I got an insole mainly for comfort, and that tightened it up a bit. So I think the SG22s, the Gaernés in general, are just a little bigger in every aspect.
Right.
But I've gotten used to it, and I like it a lot. So.
Okay. Now the Crossairs. So funny thing is that, and I've talked about this in their videos, I'm right in between sizes because they don't have a true 9 because they're European. So these are actually like a 9.4. It's a size 43, I believe. But you put these on, you're like, oh yeah, those fit me fine.
Yeah, it was
size
perfect.
10 and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Didn't feel like it was too long or too short. It's just right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're right between a 9 and a 10, you could go with either or, but if you're a size 10 in other boots, you're probably going to want the 43 or the 9.4 in these. All right, so when you put them on, Gavin, first impressions, you put them on, you strap them up, you go get on the bike for the first time, you're flexing your ankles. Well, how do they feel around the ankle? Feel snug, secure? How did that feel?
Yeah, it feels snug. I mean, I had to tighten the straps up a little bit, but everybody has to adjust that.
Yeah, I like how they fit around the ankle. I think it fits pretty secure. Like my ankle's locked in, my ankle's not lifting up or anything off the heel box. Did you notice anything like that?
No, yeah, I put them on, strapped it to how I like it, and it felt good right away.
Okay. Now, Riley and I talk about how free this boot feels and how much flex it has right away. What were your first impressions? You put it on, you get on the bike. What's the first thing that you thought of when you had these on?
Yeah, first impression, even just putting them on and standing up, walking around, they're really light. They're a lot lighter than what I'm used to, either these Gaernés or Alpine Star Tech 10.
Well, you're in the heaviest premium boot right now in the 22s.
Yeah.
These are the lightest. I've weighed all of them, and these are by far the lightest premium option. So you're going to notice that. So you notice that. What about flexibility?
Yeah, they have a lot more flexibility than especially Tech 10s. It's kind of it's a lot more than Tech 10s, a little more than the SG22s. So that kind of surprised me, especially once I started riding. A lot more ankle mobility than I'm used to, which some people might like.
When you got the 22s new compared to now that you've been riding them for a few months, have they broken in quite a bit? Have you got quite a bit more flex out of them?
Yeah, not a bunch. It feels pretty similar. I expected them to break in more, but they still have pretty good hold out, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with these, so it's kind of it's a pro and a con. With the Crossair, like Gavin was saying, they're very free. And I always said how the Fox Instincts had the most flexibility, just brand new out of the box. These are even have more movement than that. They do have a little insert in between the two lower buckles, which Gavin mentioned. He noticed that, which does help dampen some of that movement and feel like you've got some impact support. But we both feel that if you are looking for a boot that's going to give you the most impact absorption, this is probably not the best option. I would say the SG22 or even the Tech 10, by far the Tech 10, is going to, for me, has the most impact support. So with this boot, I feel like it's, Riley and I were talking about, it's like a performance boot. And you got to be pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
You got to be able to time your jumps good. If you're maybe new and you're learning and you're not quite timing your jumps right, you might feel like it's lacking a little bit of ankle support. How did you feel in that?
Yeah, I did. This last moto I did in them, I overshot a couple jumps just on accident, and they do allow a little bit more ankle movement than I'd like, just on those big impacts. But like you said, if for a performance boot, they do allow, like, I like to weight my pegs a lot, and that's super easy with them. So there's pros and cons. I personally like a little more ankle stiffness.
Okay.
But
well, compared to that or a Tech 10, these are going to feel quite a bit softer. What about like the peg feel? Like, do you notice any difference between how well you can feel your brake pedal and the shifter and that with these versus the 22s?
A little bit. The sole, like the peg feels pretty similar to the Gaerne. Both of them are softer than the Alpine Star, which I like. Like, I can just feel my pegs more. But yeah, for the most part, they felt pretty similar with peg feel.
Okay, which is interesting because I kind of feel like the Tech 10 has a little bit more peg feel than these. But yeah, so you feel like they're similar. Braking, getting your shifts, anything bad, anything you noticed there that you didn't like?
The only thing I noticed with me being used to the SG22s, I think the toe box is a little longer on the Gaerne. And so my first couple laps, I kind of missed my rear brake because it was just a little bit off, you know,
right.
A couple millimeters and you're off of your brake pedal. So
that's kind of normal with any boot, though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the lengths are always a little different. So that's the only problem I noticed. It wasn't a problem. I got used to it and it was just fine. But
squeezing the bike, one thing I do like about the Sidis is just how slim they are on the inside.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like there's no issue as far as gripping the side of the motorcycle. That all for me is good. Anything there that you noticed?
Yeah, I'd say it is. It's easier to feel your frame with the Sidis. They don't have as much plastic on the inside as I'd say the Gaernes do.
Well, yeah. Something that your brother and I were talking about is just how soft they are, this upper, which might leave you desiring a little bit more hard plastic for impact protection, but I think that does aid in feeling very connected to the motorcycle. And again, going back to it, this thing's built for performance. It's lightweight, a lot of movement in the ankle, but for off-road guys, enduro, like if you're slower technical riding, I think this thing would be killer because you have so much freedom and range of motion.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, overall, Gavin, I mean, could you moto in this boot? If you're like, hey, you're just going to ride in these from now on, would you be good with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could get used to them. Like I said, the only complaint I had was just a little too much ankle flex.
Okay.
Just on those big impacts, but
if you were, and again, Sidi and Gaerne, these are two Italian brands known for their durability. That's one thing Gavin's actually talked about with his Gaernes he's excited for, is you had mentioned that depending on how much you're riding, you get maybe a half a season out of a pair of Tech 10s.
Yeah.
With these, you're hopeful to get a lot more time than that. Sidis are also known for that as well, but if you were to choose just one boot after riding both of these, which one would you stick with?
I think I still stick with the Gaernes.
Okay.
I like a little more hold up in my boot. You know, it just makes me feel more confident in, you know, making little mistakes and stuff like that.
Right.
I'd still go with the Gaernes strictly just because of the stiffness of them. But other than that, it's a really good boot.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I'm really torn between these two because there's things that I really like about the Crossair. I love how light it feels, how it feels athletic. Like I just feel like I can move my feet easy. But the Gaernes definitely, to me, just feel a little bit more secure, a little bit more impact protection, so I get you there. And of course, more plastic. But they do have the Crossfire 3, which has more hard plastic around there. I know that they're coming out with a new boot sometime in 2025 that's going to be kind of replacing the Crossfire 3, I believe, that's going to have this sole. But for me, I think they're both awesome. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. It kind of just depends on what's most important to you in a boot. Do you want the most range of motion, lightweight, free feeling? Or do you want maybe a little bit more support? Yes, it's going to be heavier, but for impacts and things like that, the Gaerne is probably going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'd agree with all that.
Okay. Well, there you have it. That is our verses of the new Sidi Crossair and the Gaerne SG22 that Gavin and I both spent a lot of time in. If you have feedback or if you have questions, please leave those down below. We'll get those answered. We're here to answer your questions, people, so do not hesitate. Put those in the comment section. To see these, the Gaernes, and all the other boots that we offer, click the link or head to Rocky Mountain's website. Don't forget, we have our fit guarantee. So if you buy a pair, like I mentioned, Gavin and I, he goes down a size. I have to deal with the boots a little bit too long. If you buy any boot that we sell, if it doesn't fit you right, you can send it back in brand new unused condition, and we'll give you free shipping both ways on your first exchange so you get the best size for you. We also have other Versus videos. I've done a ton of videos with your brother Riley. We've done a premium boot shootout, so make sure, subscribe to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel if you haven't already. Go watch those other videos, and that's going to help you decide what boot is best for you. I'm Chase. This is Gavin with the RMX Academy. We'll see you next time.